Payal. I live and work here in New Jersey. I've lived in this country about 9 years now.
My name is Vakas. I'm originally from Lahore, Pakistan. I came here in December 94.
My name is Irina. I'm from Russia. I moved to US in 1998.
My name is Leo Emeso. I'm from Nigeria. I came to the US in 1996.
My name is Ying Hao. I'm originally from China.
My name is Rakesh.
Parag Gokhale.
Nirav Kapadia.
Hochi Chen.
Sandeep Damaria. Ashwin Sancheti.
Praveer.
Tarak Kapadia.
I'm Seema.
My name is Arya.
My name is Rahul. I come back from Pune, Maharashtra, India. I moved to US on August 2001. It was exactly a month before the 9/11 attacks happened.
One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hi, can I say hi? Hi, this is Teja. I'm a software developer. I am from Andhra Pradesh, India, and I've done my master's here. I moved in 2011. I live in New Jersey right now. Earliest memory in the US, there are actually quite a few. As soon as we landed, we were there. My friend was mumbling, dude, we are in the US. And I was not excited. It was so hot. And then a car stops by, an SUV stops by, and a white couple come out of it, and then they smooch. And then I turn to him and say, dude, we are in the US.
On my way here, when we got to JFK, I was waiting for my uncle to pick me up, and the weather was so nice and sunny. So I said, okay, let me just venture outside and enjoy the weather. And it was so chilly, I had to actually run back indoor. It was so surprising because to see a very nice sunny weather be so cold.
I came to airport and my seniors came to pick me, and they were shouting me on left and right, how much weight, 3 bags, 32 kg, 4 bag, is this all the stones you bought? So I end up landed in one of the seniors' place, and where they gave me a small corner of the home to stay. So I was feeling very bad that time. I was missing India a lot, basically.
When I arrived to New York, we take the taxi from airport to Flushing. On the way to Flushing, you can see all the street. They allow, what do you call it, graffiti everywhere. It's kind of very scary,
I got rid of my mustaches. And something that small, it felt liberating that I was able to do it without even thinking what people are going to think. I kind of changed my looks, the kind of dresses I wear and all that.
I could not go to dance clubs in Pakistan, so that's the first thing I did. The first week, me and my friend, we took a bus to Philadelphia, downtown, dressed up like fresh off the boats, all in suits, standing close to each other. We couldn't find a club. We asked one of the taxi drivers, where's the closest dance club? He guided us to a dance club. The first floor we went to, it was all guys. So we thought, oh, well, maybe it's just like Pakistan. First floor guys, maybe second floor women. When we went to the second floor, we see all these guys, in their underwears, kissing each other. I don't have anything against gay guys, but, it's not the first thing you want to see in America either. So we look at the other corner. It was just all girls kissing. So that's where we ended up with, in the lesbian section.
Came to the US and I went shopping for the first time. So I go into one of the stores, I think it was either Macy's or Sears or one of those, and I see racks and racks full of clothes, they're lined everywhere. You have, if you want shirts, there's millions of shirts. We're used to that kind of thing in India. You have big stores, but you're able to, it's not full of clothes. It was so overwhelming, and I came out without buying anything. And for days, I didn't want to go shopping because I thought I'll never be able to find anything from here. Even for that matter, going to a grocery store, here they had a aisle full of cereal. So just to pick up what I like to eat was again a big problem. Go to get milk, it was millions of kind of milk. I remember my friend, in fact, when she came for the first time, she kept drinking half and half for 6 months, thinking it was good milk, good quality milk, and she was so happy that she's gaining weight and she's looking so good. Later to realize it was half and half she was drinking all the while.
I went to Starbucks, oh, it's a crazy place in US. I went there and I say, can I I want to have a chai basically. So I wanted to have a small cup, but the nomenclature they use is tall as a small and the grande and all those things. I said, can I get a small? So she was saying, like, you mean the tall one? I said, no tall, I want the small one. So she said, oh, that's what I mean, you want the tall one, right? I finally said, whichever is the smallest glass, give me that one.
When my mom watched televisions, she would think that the movies, the commercials are part of the movies. So I always have to explain to her that this is the commercial and that was it.
Well, my parents, they always sent me pictures of New York. That's where they lived at the time. When I came here, they were already in New Jersey. So they sent me pictures of New York and, I see all these skyscrapers and so many people walking around, and that's what I wanted to see too. But then they picked me up from the airport. They took me to their apartment complex in New Jersey. There's not a single soul inside. All the buildings look the same. I wanted to see the skyscrapers and people, and there was nothing except just apartments everywhere. So I was kind of disappointed at that.
I was going to my university campus and I was looking at the road, and there are no people on the road. So I was surprised. Am I really in the US?
You step out, you come at night, you hardly see a soul.
Just to go from a hotel to my college, it took me just 1 hour just to find a bus station, because remember, back then there was no Google Maps. And I was very surprised that there was nobody in the streets. Like in Pakistan, you can just find like 1 million people on the street and ask anybody for directions.
When we were walking in the streets with my little girl, my daughter, I have not seen any children, and I was wondering where the people on the streets in the small towns, or where the kids actually during the day. And then we kind of found the library and playgrounds and some like activities that were going on in the parks. That's where the kids were.
We just don't have the same population density. We just kind of go from point A to point B and keep to ourselves.
This was my first visit to New York City. I had taken a Greyhound bus, and then I was on my way back on the bus, and there was a strange woman sitting next to me. When the bus stopped at a stop, she gave me a $5 bill to buy a sandwich for her. I took the money, I put it in my pocket, I bought a sandwich for her and gave her whatever $1 change back. And then she says, I gave you a 20. Where is the rest of my money? And I was all surprised. I'm like, what is she talking about? And then I reach into my pocket, and she was right. She actually had given me a 20, thinking it's a 5. And the reason I think all this happened is because of the way dollar bills are. It was very confusing because in India, every currency is different shape and color. Here, everything is green, same size. So $5 bill, $20 bill, unless you really look and you're not used to looking. So now this lady is really suspicious of me. She thinks I'm trying to cheat her out of $15 when it was an honest mistake.
95, email was not such a common thing. People still used to write the old-fashioned way, which is through writing letters. So I went to post office and I said to them, can you please send the letter through UPS? She said, what do you mean UPS? I'm like, I just want to send it urgently, meaning urgent postal service. She said, well, in America, UPS means just a regular post office. And then on top of it, over here, you write from on the top to in the middle. But in Pakistan, it's the opposite way. So even after going through like half hour this argument, I put it in the reverse order, from in the middle and to over here, and the letter ended up coming back to me. And so much for urgency.
In Nepal, we grew up learning that we should not eat beef because, everyone told me you should not kill cows, they're sacred. So here, they sell beef in the supermarkets, restaurants, so that I was very confused at that and then at that time, I think I was too young to understand religion. So I didn't know, just because it's against Hinduism, that doesn't mean other people can't eat it, So that confused me a little, and I was surprised that they ate beef here. And yeah.
I mean, what is American food? Hot dogs and hamburgers? Most of the food that we eat here is coming from some other culture or influenced by some other country in some way.
was very hard to find vegetarian food in North America. When you go and ask a vegetarian food, generally they consider seafood as a vegetarian also. So you have to specifically say no eggs, no meat, no seafood. Initial month I just stayed on the French fry because it's the only vegetarian food I can find.
When I came here, I landed at Chicago airport and I was waiting for my connecting flight to Baltimore. And I was very hungry. I was on a 16-hour flight and I walked up to a McDonald's because it seemed like a safe option. And I asked her if they had a veg burger. So she looked at me in surprise and was like, veg burger, what do you mean? We have onions and tomatoes. And I was like, yeah, perfect. I need onions and tomatoes. And then I was like, do you have cheese? And she's like, do you want a cheeseburger? I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Give me a cheeseburger. I would like a cheeseburger. And she gave me a cheeseburger. I was very hungry. I had almost half of the burger and something didn't seem right. Turns out it had a beef patty in it. Back in India, I never had any beef. And it's not like I'm a very religious person or something, but I just did not eat beef. And it seemed like a very big, overwhelming animal to me. And for days to come, or rather for nights to come, I had nightmares of a cow coming in my dreams and almost like it had big horns and it was it came charging at me.
I ordered a cheeseburger and the burger came, it had beef patty in it. And then I started arguing with the person who was serving the food. I'm like, well, I asked for a cheeseburger. I expect cheese, lettuce, and a bun. He said, well, welcome to America, and cheeseburger over here means with beef. It was $3, so it was a lot of money for me back then. I was still a college student. I ate up anyway.
And the order came. My parents started eating. They didn't know that it's a beef burger. They liked it. Basically, they say it's an awesome burger, and realized that that's the patty is not supposed to come in this burger. So he went and asked, and that lady says, yeah, I'm sorry, we put a patty. It's a beef patty. So as soon as my parents heard about it, they have a vomit sensation.
When I landed here, next day I had to get something for lunch. Went to one of the drive-thrus at McDonald's. I ate it and I liked it and it was pretty good. So every time I went out, I ordered the cheeseburger. After a week or so, I went to one of a fine dine restaurants with my family, and they suggested that I should try the steak over there. So I said, I don't think so, because I promised my grandmom I won't eat beef, so I'm gonna stay away from steak. And that's when they told me that all these days I've been eating beef, and that was a pretty surprising thing actually.
To me, as an American, when you say burger, I know it's some type of meat. And then afterwards would be cheeseburger, bacon cheeseburger. That's not just the definition of the two pieces of bread. The meat inside, to me, is what's considered the burger. And then what you say additionally is what goes on top of the burger. So if I said cheeseburger, I'm not thinking it's a piece of cheese with two pieces of bread. I'm thinking it's a piece of meat with cheese on top of it, in between two pieces of bread.
I went to a pizza shop and I asked to give me some pizza, and I saw some pizza on the display and with the tomato slices. So I thought, okay, these are the cheese with the tomato pizza. And I asked them, okay, can I get this one? I did not say the name of the pizza because I saw, okay, it's a tomato and the cheese looks like. So I asked them to give me that, and they gave me, and I ate the first bite, and my senior came, oh, you eat pepperoni also? First thing, I don't know what is pepperoni. Then I started looking in Google, okay, oh man. So I went to restroom and I was having gargling for like almost 15 minutes, and for the whole day I was having Pepsi and Coke to get that taste around basically. So it was so bad experience.
The first food that I was offered was pizza. I was looking at this triangular piece of food with so many colors in it. It was like, what is this?
They wanted me to get exposed to different kinds of food. So probably like 2 or 3 weeks after I came here, they took me to this Chinese buffet. And I had never gone to like a proper sit-down restaurant before. So I was like extremely overwhelmed at the amount of food they had and the varieties of food. So everyone's like, they're eating like one plate after the other. And I just did not know what tasted good, what I wanted to eat. So I ended up eating just watermelon because I was so overwhelmed at the varieties. I had never seen that much food in one place. Now if you take me there, I'll destroy everything that's there. But
once we went to the Western restaurant, and the waitress came here, and I looked at the menu. I said, I want a Parmesan chicken without any Parmesan. So it's just plain chicken. So you can imagine the face of that waitress. Even sounds ridiculous for myself. It's like you order a steak dish without any steak, just a mashed potato. So
when I stayed at seniors, they gave me some boiled vegetables with the pita bread. I didn't know what is this boiled vegetables and this pita bread. It was so hard that finally tears came off my eyes. That it was so pathetic. Means I was missing my home like left and right basically.
Since I didn't speak English right away, they signed me up for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at school every day. I didn't even have a chance to get pizza or maybe a hamburger. And the other Indian person in my class was also getting that. They must have thought I was Hindu and vegetarian.
The food tasted very differently, and it was hard for me to find the bread which actually remind me of the bread in Russia. And I was surprised that bread here can lay on the shelf like for months.
In the morning, maybe around 8 o'clock, maybe even before that, we were just preparing breakfast in a traditional way by scraping coconut. And that may have made a lot of noise, looks like, because I heard from the bottom floor somebody hitting on our floor.
I got my first job in the university to work as a research student, and I had a very nice boss. His name was Paul, and he would ask me questions, and then like we are used to in India, I would nod my head, and for yes I would nod like this, and for no I would do like this, and he couldn't differentiate whether I'm saying yes or I'm saying no. And after a few days he got really fed up. He was a really funny kind of guy. So he actually held my head, and then he said, please, when you want to say yes, and then he would move my head up and down. And he said, when you want to say no, do this. He says, if you do this, I cannot make out if you're saying yes or if you're saying no.
The way they acknowledge a conversation with the little head shake.
Because I wasn't sure if it was a yes or a no. I'm not doing the nod.
So in India, strangers do not look at each other or smile at each other or greet each other. But apparently here, people did. So initially, when I bumped into people like in my apartment elevator or places like that, and people would say, hi, how are you? Sometimes I would be confused if I've seen them before or why they are talking to me. I thought that I had to like stop and actually answer and tell them everything about my day. But they would be like, hi, how are you? And they would just walk past me and I would be talking and I would be just like standing there.
I could barely understand what the teachers were talking about. One day in the classroom, I ventured to ask a question. I asked one question more than 7 times, and the teacher couldn't understand a word of what I was saying. Finally, the person sitting beside me actually helped me and explained to the teacher what I was trying to say. That would be the last question I ever asked in that classroom ever.
I didn't know how to speak English. I was in the process. I went to the ESL class, which is English as a second language class. So I was still in the process. I was very shy. I barely spoke to anyone. One day we were in the car, and there used to be a store that's similar to Best Buy called Circuit City. So we were driving. I turned to my dad. I was like, Dad, what's that place, Circuit City? I didn't know how to pronounce it properly. So I was like, what's Circuit City? And still to this day, my parents make fun of me because of that one incident. I was just pronunciation. I just could not.
When I came to US, I actually didn't speak English very well, and any interaction in restaurant or something like put me in shock. I couldn't answer any questions.
Well, I think the biggest thing would be probably the language barrier. It's very hard to understand what it is they were trying to say over the phone, and sometimes you would either need an interpreter or a very clear understanding of the person trying to explain what the issue is.
They never really listen to you. If you don't say things the way they understand it or they hear it.
This was me driving with my sister in the car, and she and I were talking and we were driving. So suddenly, we didn't notice. So we see a lot of cop cars around us, and they stop us, and something's wrong. So they stop us, and they're like, few cop cars, people come out and they're saying, "What are you doing?" So we said, "No, nothing. We're just trying." It's like, "We've been trying to stop you guys, and you're not stopping." So they had the lights on the side, but we're not used to it. We didn't know the lights were for us and we were supposed to stop. It was very embarrassing at the end because, they had to call 4 other cop cars thinking we were trying to, run away or do something, a crime scene or something. So that was a strange way of learning how traffic and cops work in the US.
2 guys really happy driving along and in a highway on a rented car, and everything is fine. They are coming back from a holiday and they probably didn't realize they started speeding or they didn't watch the road signs, and they got a police car on the trail. For some time they didn't stop because they didn't realize that somebody is behind you with the lights on and wailing a siren. They have to stop. Eventually they got the idea. They stopped down to check why the hell is that guy following us. So one of them promptly stopped the car, opened the door, and started walking toward the police car. And if you don't know how, that's exactly how anybody would do in India. And these guys were recent, they had just come. The way police looks at it is that you might have a gun, you're going to attack them. Within a matter of seconds, there were 2 cars already. Both the guys pulled out guns, pointing towards this guy. And they start shouting in their heavy American accents. And when they're shouting, they're overly aggressive. You cannot make out a word they're saying. And they were just saying, "Get down on the ground. Let me see your hands." And this guy was going on in India, "Sir ji, aap ruk to jao." And fortunately for him, his other friend was wiser. And he said, "Kade ruk ja, hilio mat, warna goli padegi seedhe." So this guy then went quiet. And then his friend started speaking to the cops, saying that, "Sir, he does not know. He's just come to the US. I am from here. Please speak slowly. He will follow everything you're saying." They have their guidebook and they can shoot if they feel something is off. They'll ask questions later. And that's another part about this place. In India, they will hit you with a rod first, but that's okay. You're not going to get killed. Here, this guy literally, उसको भगवान के दर्शन हो ही गए थे, but he just made it in the nick of time, and then everything got sorted out eventually.
The fact that just about any given person here could own a gun, I could see that being unnerving for a police officer. I don't think a lot of people realize, for whatever reason, traffic offense and being pulled over is serious business here. You generally just sit with your hands on the steering wheel and the radio off and wait for them to come to your car, and then they'll tell you what they need.
Basically, I got married after I got a job, and then my wife came over. And then one day I just came from office and my wife is waiting for me. She said that, "Oh, I broke the door." I said, "What happened?" So I went in and I see the door is actually totally off. All the screws, nut bolts are down. So I said, "What did you do?" And then she said that I was trying to break a walnut. Walnut? In India, usually what do we do is put a walnut and then just use the door to break it. She tried that and the entire door was out.
I was on a cruise one time waiting online for food. It was the buffet area, and there's clearly marked a sign that says, "Get in line, grab a plate and your utensils and get online." These other people just jumped in the line and cut everybody, pretending they don't know what they're doing or what they're talking about because they're from a foreign country, and they cut all of us. Meanwhile, they knew what they were doing. They jumped in front of us very rudely and then said, "Oh, I don't know.
I am a Sardar, Sikh. I wore a turban for the 21 years of my life. So being bullied in school was very natural. I've gotten into more fights than you can ever imagine. I came home with bloody noses all the time. Every day was a struggle to be a child in this country back in the late 80s, early 90s, when Americans didn't know about guys wearing turbans. And I didn't even know why I was wearing one. My parents just told me to wear one. I didn't understand the Sikh religion, and I didn't understand why I was being harassed all the time or beaten up. So I became stronger. In high school, I was lifting weights, and that all those people that would attack me no longer attack me because I was a lot stronger.
Well, the stereotype was if you want to get good grades, sit next to the Asian kid.
After I came from India, one of the movies that was released at the time was Indiana Jones. And that movie was based in India, and there was mention of Kalima and all that. So a lot of kids in the school used to kind of make fun and, trying to get me to show them how to pull their heart out, with my bare hands. Sometimes I found it to be funny, but then other times, after enough nagging, it became annoyance. And that's, sometimes I felt, as it wasn't out of joke, it was more like they were making fun. So it wasn't a comfortable situation. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's really stupid. I guess if you're just trying to poke fun at someone, maybe, but if you really think that there's any basis in truth for anything that happens in that movie, you're just an idiot.
I went to buy a cheesesteak. I really love their cheesesteak. It's a Philly cheesesteak. So the guy said he won't sell it to me. I said, but why? He said that when I came earlier in the morning to buy a piece of cake, I took 2, paid for 1. I said, but why didn't you stop me right then and there? Now you're accusing me of something that I didn't do. So I said, okay, I'll be right back. I left the store, went to the ATM machine, got a $20 bill, came back, paid him for the cake, and still asked him to sell me the cheesesteak because it was really good. And they refused.
I and my friends from India, we were attending a wedding of an Indian friend here. And there was a ceremony which is supposed to happen in the morning. So we were all in the traditional attire, dhoti and kurta. And in the last minute, the priest said, oh, we need more flowers for the havan or puja. So 3 of us started out in the car to the shopping market. So we were in the shopping supermarket looking for flowers. And then we saw maybe around 3 or 4 teenagers coming to us and then asking us, hey man, are you wearing a towel in the supermarket?
When I went to a New York store, I remember is of some African American guys speaking in their famous New York accent, which I could not believe for the longest time. How can a guy say to another person, yo, come on man? And that I had heard in the movies, but it was just amazing to hear firsthand. And so I literally laughed there, stood in a corner.
Very simple things like here, people would just hold the door for you all the time. So when you're in India, you're not used to things like that. People would just hold the door for you and let you go in and stuff like that. So I started noticing these small things, and I wouldn't really call it a culture shock, just different way people did things differently from back home.
The one interesting thing is here, when we go out for dining, we go Dutch, we split the bills. But in China, there's fighting for the bill. So people, after the meal, people is trying to, fighting for the bill, who pay the bill. Usually it's like elder people pays younger people, and man pays for women, so
When I came to US, I was traveling in a bus, and I sat in the bus with my uncle, and he was kind of showing me around and telling me how we travel and do things. So the first thing he said after I sat in the bus is that be very quiet in this bus because everybody's a don. And I was like, oh really? So people come and I'm just quiet and everybody's like hi down and stuff like that, So I thought everybody is a don here, and I'm looking at everybody, observing them like they don't look like criminals or they don't look like godfathers. But if my uncle is saying, maybe there is something to it, So anyways, went to New York, did what I had to do, went back home, and I was talking to my brother and I was like, I don't understand. What's the Don stuff in this country? I didn't think that America has any Don culture or something like that. And he's like, no, we don't. But uncle said, everybody is a Don in this bus. And he said, no, that's because everybody says, how you doing? And he cannot correlate it, and he thinks that people say, hi Don, hi Don, hi Don.
My friend visited me from Florida and he wanted to see a ball drop basically. And it was 31st December and it was very cold basically. We were having a layer of like 4 or 5 layers of clothes, double gloves and all those things, and we went there and so much of crowd, and I saw people were like half naked there, and I got surprised that I am having like 6 layers of clothes, and how come they are not feeling cold? So before the ball drop it was just 5 to 10 minutes remaining, and I was about to, but I was shivering like left and right. I didn't care about that ball drop. I went to a Subway place and I ordered 2 coffee. We ordered 4 coffee, 2 for me and 2 for my friend, but that's not for drinking, just to make our hand hot basically.
Okay, well, I have seen that before. When I see somebody wearing a lot of layers of clothing, I'm thinking they're coming from a warm tropical climate. So they're not used to the temperature and therefore they think this is cold, but to me it's actually warm.
As a students, we actually took up maps and we were searching for a place, and we just got lost. It was a suburban area where there were like small houses here and there, and I don't know for what reason, one of them had an idea to stop by a home, knock the door and ask the person which way is the closest way to the highway back home. We stopped the car near a small kind of worn out house, and then we knocked the door. The person who came to open the door was rough. I could say it was an intimidating personality. He actually came out with a shotgun. My friend who knocked the door and me behind him, we pissed our pants. And then he asked, "What do you want?" My friend he went totally nuts. Like he was like scared to his nuts. So then my friend asked, "I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're finding it difficult to find the closest way back to the highway. Can you help us?" And then he helped us out, saying, "Yeah, just take a right and take a left and you'll be there." And then we couldn't ask another question. We just ran back to the car and got inside, and we fled from there.
When I enrolled myself for masters here in the college, and the class size is like 15 kids or 20 kids, and the friendliness of the professor was something that I was not at all accustomed to. I'm accustomed to my professor being a sir who we talk to like 4 times in a year and beg to get our assignments submitted. But they being friendly and trying to convince you and chit-chatting is something that I had never seen before.
When I went to the first class, people were in the shorts. They were eating in the class in front of a professor. Girls and boys in the college having a free, intimate type behaviors. I haven't seen that kind of an environment in India. It was uptight in you respect your professors and all those stuff. Here it was so casual.
In buses or anywhere you're traveling, you see people very intimate, doing a lot of intimate things. So that was kind of like, in a way, new. But again, I mean, that's something that is normal out here.
In school, I studied until 2nd grade in Nepal. So in school, back in the day, the teachers, they used to hit you if you did anything wrong. If you forget your homework, your books, whatever it may be, they will hit you, they will pull your hair, beat you with sticks. I came here and then one day, I think I forgot my folder or homework, something. I forgot something, and I remember being very nervous to go to school because, I didn't want to get beat up again. I went to school, I was extremely nervous. I told my teacher I don't have my homework. She literally said, "Okay, just bring it in tomorrow, honey." I was like, wait, that's it? Like, you're not gonna hit me, you're not gonna do anything. And then I went home, told my parents. They're like, "Oh, they can't lay a finger on you. The most they can do is just like yell at you or take you to the principal. That's it." I was like so shocked, at the same time so happy, knowing that I will never get beat up ever again by my teachers.
Lots of cars on the roads, a lot of cars and crazy traffic, and I was thinking that I'm never gonna drive there.
Just before we moved to the US, we were speaking, my dad was already moved here, and I was, obviously very young, 5, 6, and on this phone conversation, I was fascinated the fact that it was nighttime in India and daytime in US.
In US, they're more praising of the children. You're doing good job. It's like this even for the smallest thing. In Russia, we didn't have that. Only if you definitely did good on something, the parents will praise you and like But here it's all the time, and I was in shock, even for small kids, for 4 years old, when they gluing something on the paper. It was entire mess over there, but they were saying, good job, good job.
Back in India, I have lived in cities like Delhi, Calcutta and Bangalore, which are big metropolitan cities, and they pretty much have everything. So when I first came here and I mentioned I moved to Baltimore, it was a little bit of a culture shock to me because, to be honest, it felt more like a downgrade from the life we were used to living in India. I mean, everything, really small things, like even a coffee shop. Back there in India, friends would hang out at a coffee shop like Barista, which was really plush, and it was a nice place and everything tasted good, and there was good music and sometimes live music and stuff. And here Starbucks was just a place where you would just go order a coffee, take a coffee and go away. Similarly, even when you went to hotels like Sheraton and all that, these things, because of the service industry in India, are really plush. And I mean, all this is a very expensive affair in India, but if you can afford it, you have a lifestyle which is great. But in the US, when you go to a hotel like Sheraton, it's like, I mean, it doesn't even seem like a 4-star or a 5-star hotel, plus there is no service and the rooms are small and nothing is really plush there. So that's just an example, but overall, the American lifestyle did not seem like a significant upgrade, rather a downgrade from what it was back in India.
When my parents sent me pictures of New York and I see all these different types of people in the pictures, I always imagined myself, oh my god, I'm gonna go to America, I'm gonna be friends with all of these people. Like, I didn't realize, they're all strangers, you can't just be friends with anyone. And then, I was so excited to meet the people. I go to school, I don't know how to speak English, I don't even know how to interact with these people. And then, I had one expectation. I don't know what I expected, but I just wanted to make friends, but I had such a hard time making friends because I didn't know how to interact, I didn't know how to talk in English. So after just learning a whole new language was the toughest part for me.
Probably because nothing in our culture is wholly American. It's always little bits and pieces of somewhere else that we've just taken and kept and then discarded whatever we weren't interested in until it all becomes some weird mix. It's not really representative of anything it came from, but it's not naturally unique. It just kind of becomes unique over time. And then kind of over time, our culture gets built up of this collective, accepting and discarding of bits of all the cultures that we come from.
Then over the period I got settled down, I started going to Subway, Chipotle and all those things, though I was not liking those, but eventually end up, okay, it's something that I can eat basically. But best thing was I started cooking my own, and that helped me a lot.
I've adopted the culture, I've kind of been able to live in this culture with my own set of values, and I think that's one thing about this country, that you can have your own set of values and you can live with it in peace and harmony with everybody else.
Some of the American cultures we've adopted, we also maintain our African cultures too. If you come to my house, there are American dishes, Italian dishes, there are also the traditional Nigerian jollof rice and African dishes. So we are trying to juggle the two cultures and, give the kids the best of both worlds, really.
I feel safe here, and the rules that kids cannot be home until they're 12 years old. It's more safety to the kids' existence than it's in Russia.
I find this place has much more freedom, liberty, and opportunities.
Freedom, enjoy life.
After coming to US, I went to pub, and I went to different activities like water rafting, like treetop adventure, that I have not thought that I will do in India at any point, because I was so scared of height or the water. But the type of precautions these people take, that made me comfortable, and that was the reason I did those things in US, and still I'm doing that.
The convenience of life, having water, electric, everything that's necessary to day-to-day life is readily available.
I think the thing you can do here, but it's very hard to do in Taiwan, is you can buy your own house. The housing in Taiwan is very expensive.
The work environment here is definitely more open. There is less of hierarchy, which is a part I love. People care for the work done and not necessarily, who is what position?
I like how people treat animals in this country. They really take care of animals very, very carefully. They don't tolerate any kind of animal abuse, even if they don't belong to them.
I still remember when I came in, and I loved about being in the United States was that, so any place you go to, the malls, you went out, you would see a lot of old people, like people in the 80s and the 90s, still living their life up. They're like dressed up, they're driving themselves, they're out there doing things on their own.
Even you're 60, you can play music, you can go to the medical school, you can attend the marathon. People never think they cannot do anything. Age is not always a burden for them to accomplish what they want to do.
People actually respect you for what you do. What do you call it? The dignity of labor.
Definitely infrastructure and the higher studies basically, and the exposure that you get in US is too good.
In Nigeria, they call America the last bus stop. If you've been everywhere else and you haven't been to America, you have not been to anywhere.
If you ask me right now, honestly, where my home is at the racetrack. I feel home when I am at the racetrack. I say it every day. As soon as I get there, I get into my car, I post on Facebook, I'm home.
I just woke up one morning and I was like, I'm moving back to India. So I just sold everything and I just packed my bags and stuff, and I decided to just completely move back. I also made sure my friends gave me a farewell dinner and everything. And then, I went back. I was there a few months. I liked it there, but at the end of 3 or 4 months, I was like, I need to go back home. And that's when I realized this is home.
I always wanted to go back to Pakistan. The first time I came over here, my intention was to finish my undergrad here, work here a couple of years, and then go back to Pakistan. But I think once you come here, they call America a melting pot for some reason. You kind of melt into this culture and it becomes very difficult to go back to your own country and readjust over there. So I tried to readjust over there, but things didn't work out, and I'm here back again, and I don't see myself, at least in the near future, going back.
I actually did go back. Home is home. This is where your friends are. This is where you grow up. But what I find out now is that I stay in Nigeria for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm like, get me out of here. America grows on you, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. But visiting, yes. Staying there permanently at this point in time, based on my previous experience, probably not.
I go back to visit, but I would not go back to live there. The family I have is great there. Being with them is fun, but I'm just used to this lifestyle here now.
It may be because I have 2 kids. I don't think they want to go back to Taiwan because they think that themselves as Americans. So they will stay here. Even I want to move back to Taiwan, they probably won't move with me.
Yeah, I did ever think move back to Russia because all the relatives are there. You have more support there for the kids. Family dynamic here is kind of none whatsoever. My kids raised here now, and the older one goes to college and will settle down here, probably in this country. I would love to be where my kids are.
See, that 22 years you have passed in India, so that thing is not gonna go away for sure. Back of the mind, if you ask anybody, everybody wants to go back to India.
This is something which almost everybody who came from India to US always think about. That's always something in the back of their minds.
I would say, for anybody like me who has grown up in India, there is always going to be, the Indianness to all of us. It's part of who we are.
I still have that Indianness in me where I'm not formal, or I don't want to call a friend and say, oh, is it okay for me to come over to your house? So those are things that still confuse me, and now I have children. I miss that, the whole enjoyment of stepping out of your house and going and playing with anybody without having a parent to drive you or set a play date for you.
Social life, your relatives, friends, nobody has to call you before coming to your home.
My wife joined me in last 3 years basically, and she missed Diwali, she missed Raksha Bandhan, And same with me, my parents, they miss me a lot. So sometimes it feels like it's not always about the money basically. So I think it's a good time to have a social interaction with the family, friends there, and to go back. So mostly, eventually I will go back for sure.
Yeah, I don't really view going back to India except for the part that's family and except for the part it's familiar.
I think about going back to India every single day. If I don't move back, I don't know if I'm ever going to move back or not. But I would definitely make sure I keep going and getting my share of all the love and...
Most of my friends or the people who I met who had moved to America with me, I would say over 90% of them at least talked about moving back. But I never seriously considered that.
Celebrating Indian holidays in India are exponentially more exciting than in US. I visit India very often, but never think about moving back.
That is one question that has always stayed with me, and even now, after 14 years in this country. Yes, right now I have a very busy schedule with work and life and bringing up the kids. But growing old in this country is something that I don't think I want to do. I want to go back home and grow old there with my friends and family.
I would say eventually I will back to China because my parents and that generation is in China. They won't come here.
Yes, I see myself growing old in America.
Since the time I've been here, I do think about going back to India, and I think I will one day go back because I belong there.
I think it's where you grow up, most of your development as a child happens in this place, and then you leave. Part of you is always going to want to go back there because you feel like you share a special connection with that place. But at the same time, you kind of developed a new connection here, and you've kind of built this new identity that's part of yourself that happens to be American, and it's hard to want to leave that too. So I think you kind of get torn between this who I was and who I am, and I want both.
I think the immigrants come here and they're the workhorse of America. Everybody in America to me is an American now, so.
Huh? Record? Fail, director. Failure. I cannot drink wine in Pakistan. Not cut that out.
Varun's documentary, take 4,372,651,281.
I work as a tongue-tied. So I'm gonna start giggling.
Just and I'll okay, yeah. Sorry. Okay, I wasn't looking at you. I shouldn't look at the camera. I think it's tough.
And when I go this, then you gotta
slow down.
No. Just kidding. How was my sound test?
I work in a software industry, and
let's try again.
I forget what I have to say. My hobbies. Okay.
You're coming this way or that? So are you going to ask questions and I to answer, or just yeah, probably.
Which had a limited stock, and most of them did not even carry one of those expensive guitars and stuff like that. So the next day I went to Guitar Center and I wanted to play the Gibson guitars and play one of the high-end guitars and see what's out there. And so what is my earliest memory of moving to US? Alright, so I got my answers.
What do you like about it?
I get to see all my relatives, and there's so much to do there.
Hopefully you will show me before you publish it anywhere.